Hello, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World, and I'm your host, Jarashma Tushinjargal. On the News Mongolia today, United Nations Day is marked on October 24th. Mongolian cabinet submits nuclear energy law amendments to parliament. The National Center for Maternal and Child Health established a model emergency department. For the news, stay tuned. United Nations Day, observed annually on October 24th, commemorates the UN Charter of 1945, marking the official formation of the United Nations. This historic milestone was achieved through the ratification of the Charter by the majority of its signatories, including the 5 permanent members of the Security Council. Mongolia became a member of the United Nations in 1961. Over the past 6 decades, Mongolia and the UN have built a mutually beneficial relationship. Following the completion of the UN Development Assistance Framework 2017 to 2022, the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework 2023 to 2027 was launched to further align the UN's efforts with Vision 2050 and Mongolia's commitments under the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. The UN system in Mongolia, comprising 23 agencies, focuses on 3 strategic areas: human development and well-being, green, inclusive, and sustainable growth, people-centered governance, rule of law, and human rights. One of Mongolia's most notable efforts has been its involvement in UN peacekeeping operations. Mongolia's first participation in peacekeeping began more than 20 years ago in 2002, when it deployed military observers to UN missions. Over the years, Mongolia has expanded its role, sending troops to conflict areas, including South Sudan, Darfur, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Mongolian peacekeepers are recognized for their discipline and professionalism, particularly in ensuring the protection of civilians and supporting humanitarian missions. During its regular Wednesday session on October 23, 2024, the Cabinet of Mongolia reviewed and approved the draft on amendments to the law on nuclear energy, along with related drafts for submission to the Parliament of Mongolia.
Since 1972, Mongolia has been a party to several international nuclear treaties and conventions, including Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, Agreement for the Application of Safeguards in Connection with the NPT, Convention on the Physical Protection of Nuclear Material, Convention on Early Notification of a Nuclear Accident, and International Convention for the Suppression of Acts of Nuclear Terrorism. Mongolia has consistently fulfilled its legal obligations under these treaties. The law on nuclear energy, originally adopted by the Parliament in 2009, comprises 8 chapters and 51 articles. Since then, the law has undergone 15 rounds of amendments, affecting 8 chapters and 38 articles. However, due to amendments to the Constitution of Mongolia and significant changes in the country's social, economic, and legal landscape, the need has arisen for further revisions. The Cabinet has prepared supplementary amendments to several key laws to align with the nuclear energy law's revisions, including general law on taxation, investment law, and law on companies. These coordinated amendments aim to ensure that the regulatory framework remains consistent and adaptable to evolving national and international standards.
The National Center for Maternal and Child Health has upgraded its emergency department, significantly improving service quality and accessibility. Following recent snowfall and a rise in carbon monoxide poisoning cases, Commodities Mongolia Intelligent Logistics LLC donated 500 million Mongolian tugruks in medical equipment, enhancing the hospital's capacity to treat patients, especially children. Due to snowfall and cold weather over the past weekend, not only have traffic accidents increased, but there has also been a sharp rise in calls to the National Center for Maternal and Child Health of Mongolia related to carbon monoxide poisoning. The National Police Agency reported that 25 people aged 2 to 80 were poisoned by carbon monoxide. In life-threatening cases, children are most commonly taken to the emergency department at the National Center for Maternal and Child Health. Officials highlighted that thanks to the medical equipment donation from E-Commodities Mongolia's Intelligent Logistics LLC, the workload and wait times in the emergency department have significantly decreased. Our emergency department provides medical services to 200 to 300 children daily. Each child comes with their parents, meaning we serve more than 1,000 people each day. The emergency department received a lot of complaints in the past. However, now we're examining, diagnosing, and treating children with the new equipment, which has significantly improved the quality and accessibility of care. We are truly grateful to the domestic companies for making such a well-targeted investment. After surveying the National Center for Maternal and Child Health, which detailed the equipment needed, businesses donated approximately 500 million Mongolian tugruks in medical equipment.
The equipment includes defibrillators needed for resuscitation, portable stretchers designed for transporting injured or unconscious children, and monitoring systems for continuously observing all hospitalized patients. We provided a variety of these devices.
Previously, the National Center for Maternal and Child Health's emergency department had poor signage, causing dangerous delays for people struggling to find the entrance. With new signage provided by local businesses, ambulances and anxious parents can easily drive directly to the entrance. This has made the work of the hospital staff easier and allows the public to receive assistance with fewer inconveniences. Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at Mongolian current affairs.
On October 22, 2024, the chairman of the Parliament of Mongolia, Амар Байсалан Дашцог, met with Australia's ambassador to Mongolia, Katie Smith. Chairman Амар Байсалан highlighted the importance of a recent official visit by Susan Lyons, the president of the Australian Senate, in enhancing collaboration between the two countries' legislative bodies and advancing Mongolia-Australia relations under Mongolia's third neighbor policy. He reaffirmed Mongolia's commitment to fostering closer ties through ongoing dialogue and bilateral initiatives. Ambassador Smith discussed Australia's role in supporting regional energy transitions through the export of renewable technology and expertise. She also welcomed the participation of Mongolia's Deputy Prime Minister Amarsahan Samboyang at the International Mining and Resources Conference in Sydney, where a special event on mining and investments will be held to promote Mongolia. Both sides emphasized their efforts to finalize key agreements on social protection and aviation, reflecting the growing people-to-people connections between Mongolia and Australia. The ambassador also expressed her desire to further enhance cooperation in the mining sector and increase investments between the two nations.
Here is currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Next, our program will turn our attention to foreign news, partnered with international news agencies. Detroit rapper Eminem stepped into the political arena Tuesday in his hometown, where he spoke briefly at a rally for Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign before welcoming former President Barack Obama to the stage.
And I think it's important to use your voice. So I'm encouraging everybody to get out and vote, please. I also think that people shouldn't be afraid to express their opinions. And I don't think anyone wants an America where people are worried about retribution or what people will do if you make your opinion known. I think Vice President Harris supports a future for this country where these freedoms and many others will be protected and upheld.
I gotta say, you know, I have done a lot of rallies, so I don't usually get nervous. But I was feeling some kind of way following Eminem. I mean, I notice my palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, vomit on my sweater already, mom's spaghetti. I'm nervous, but on the surface I look calm and ready to drop bombs, but I keep on forgetting.
The appearance by Obama and Eminem comes just days before early voting kicks off across Michigan. Democrats hope the star-studded event, which also featured former Lions wide receiver and NFL Hall of Famer Calvin Johnson, will boost enthusiasm among voters. Voter turnout in Detroit, a long-time Democratic stronghold, will be crucial in determining who wins the state in November, when Michigan is among a handful of swing states expected to determine who wins the presidency, as well as control of the U.S. Senate. Democrat Elissa Slotkin, who faces Republican Mike Rogers for an open Senate seat, appeared alongside Obama at the rally.
Israeli jets struck multiple buildings in the coastal city of Tyre on Wednesday, sending large clouds of black smoke into the air. The state-run national news agency reported that an Israeli strike on the nearby town of Marika killed 3 people. There were no reports of casualties in Tyre, where the Israeli military had issued evacuation warnings prior to the strikes.
Lebanon's Hezbollah militant group meanwhile fired another barrage of rockets into Israel, including 2 that set off air raid sirens in Tel Aviv before being intercepted. A cloud of smoke could be seen in the sky from the hotel where U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was staying on his latest visit to the region to try to renew ceasefire talks. Hezbollah began firing rockets, missiles, and drones into Israel, drawing retaliatory airstrikes after Hamas' October 7, 2023 attack out of Gaza triggered the war there. All-out war erupted in Lebanon last month after Israeli strikes killed Hezbollah's top leader Hassan Nasrallah and most of his senior commanders. Israeli ground forces invaded southern Lebanon earlier this month. The Israeli military said Tuesday that one of its airstrikes in recent weeks killed Hashim Safiedine, a senior Hezbollah leader and cleric who was widely expected to succeed Nasrallah. Tyre, a provincial capital, had largely been spared in the Israel-Hezbollah war, but strikes in and around the city have intensified recently. The ancient city of Tyre, about 80 kilometers south of Beirut, is known for its pristine beaches, ancient harbor, and imposing Roman ruins and hippodrome, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is among Lebanon's largest cities and a vibrant metropolis popular with tourists. The city's history extends to 5th century BC. The buildings struck on Wednesday were between several heritage sites, including the hippodrome and cluster of seaside sites associated with the ancient Phoenicians and the Crusaders. The Israeli military issued evacuation warnings a few hours prior for dozens of buildings in the heart of the city. It told residents to move north of the Awali River, dozens of kilometers to the north. Avichai Adrai, an Israeli military spokesman, said on the platform X that there were Hezbollah assets in the area of the evacuation warning without elaborating or providing evidence.
All right, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Goodbye.